Hello, everyone. I'm Mark Allen with Gaber.io, and I'm here today with Zara Martirosyan, the COO of inKin. I think I got that right. Can you correct me if I
Yeah,
didn't?
yeah, no, you did a pretty amazing job, Mark. Yeah, that's correct.
Well, thank you. Good evening in your case. How you doing, Zara?
Hi, Mark. Yeah, I'm very well. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's early morning here. I know it's later at night there where you are in Dubai. So can we start with by you sharing a brief background of yourself and your work experience?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm one of the founders and the CEO of a digital health and wellness startup called inKin. We started a little bit over than 5 years ago, and I hold a bachelor degree in economics from Lomonosov Moscow State University and a master's degree in management from Cass Business School, London. But funnily enough, even though I'm an economist by trade, I had actually started my career over 10 years ago in the film business, and I used to work in various Moscow-based film companies releasing independent movies to the Russian market. It was fascinating, it was very creative. But then at some point I moved to Dubai for personal reasons, and 1 year down the road, I just woke up being an entrepreneur and doing this amazing startup with a great team. So yeah, and here we are over 5 years later.
Wow, that's a very varied background. That's interesting. So what has been your experience with remote employment, both as a remote employee and a remote employer?
Well, ironically, we do have quite an experience because inKin's team has always been scattered around different places. So this is how we communicated from the first day. And I personally have been working remotely and communicating with the rest of the team virtually most of the times. So we do have some experience. But I guess, with this pandemic situation, it's a completely different story because we do have some tips that I will gladly share with you a little bit later. But with this lockdown, it's one thing when you work remotely, and that can be from the comfort of your own home or from your favorite coffee shop or a nice fancy co-working space, whatever we prefer to do it from. And it's another story when you are stuck within that four walls in your own house, whether it's your house or flat and whatever, 24/7, you cannot go out, you cannot enjoy your weekends, seeing your loved ones, your friends and family. Well, probably you're stuck with your family members, right? And yes, that's when the situation gets a little bit harder because distinguishing your personal life from your work life is a completely different story when we are on lockdown.
Yes, it is. So what has been your takeaway from these experiences over time?
Well, I personally, what I try to do to survive and to stay sane, I develop a very rigid discipline that I try to stick to. It really helps me out. So I try to wake up early in the morning and I go to bed quite early as well. And I try to exercise during the day. So I throw in, up to maybe 10, 30 minutes of walking around the flat after each meal. So I stay active because I guess it's a challenge right now when we are on lockdown, not to get out of this situation being unhealthier than we were before this all started. And I know that many people, they struggle when it comes to this remote working at the moment because firstly, they are not used to it. Secondly, as I said, it's much harder to distinguish your personal life and your work life. So I know that some people, they work until 1 or 2 in the morning because there are piles and piles of work, so they cannot stop. And for the others, because they associate their own home, it's a safe place which is associated with pleasure and unwinding and relaxing, and now they need to work. So it's very difficult. It may be really difficult to adjust to the situation and really focus on work, especially if you live with family members and you have kids. How do you explain a toddler that yes, you are physically at home, but you need to work? You cannot play with the child, and of course they're seeking your attention, or with all these household obligations that you're supposed to meet. So yes, I guess it's much harder for people in that sense. Another thing that I noticed, because no one, well, almost no one, right, commutes to the office anymore. It's easier to kind of, fall off the discipline completely and think, okay, you know what, I'm going to watch Netflix until 2 o'clock in the morning because I'll be fine. It's fine. I don't have to go to the office, but it's not fine because it's a false assumption. You still have to be productive. You still need to attend to everything, whether it's house related or work related. And of course, sleep deprivation will significantly jeopardize your health. We are trying to avoid, actually, right? By staying home.
Yeah, and actually your product helps with that, right?
Yeah, that's actually what we do, and we help teams to overcome these challenges now and before. Yeah.
So what do you think is the future of remote employment, and what do you think can be done differently to make it more effective?
Well, I think that, of course, since this whole thing happened so instantaneously, it's very difficult for teams to adjust quickly. So people will take their time step by step to understanding what is sufficient, what is not. I'm sure that, there are people that, I don't know if you've seen that meme. It appeared at the very beginning of lockdown with a man sitting in his home in front of the computer, and he's like, so all those meetings could have really been just emails, so of course we know, all of us, we were at the meetings when they are non-stop and so insufficient for hours and hours, when it could have taken just an email, maybe a little bit longer one, right? So on the one hand, people will appreciate that they don't really have to go to the office or travel abroad to visit colleagues in other branches to stay connected and stay efficient. On the other hand, of course, there is always human communication. I mean, sometimes we can resolve a small issue by having a cup of coffee with a colleague, or just, seeing someone in the elevator, or going for a walk around the building during lunchtime. And of course, now when we need to write an email, if the company is old school and they don't use Slack or other messengers, which is a disaster, then everything is, through emails, and people have to go through hundreds and hundreds of emails to understand what's important, what's not. So yeah, now you just drop a message via Slack or an email to your colleague about a certain small issue, and you just wait for this person to get back to you on that. So that can be not that efficient. But in my opinion, what we're witnessing right now is actually fascinating, because when we look at the history of the human race, there was always something pushing us to the next milestone, so we get to the next level, whether it's the printing revolution or the industrial revolution or the green revolution. And now I think after we're out of this whole turmoil, yes, it's hard. We will probably face an economic, a global economic crisis and all of that. But if we look on a bigger picture, I think that's we are facing actually a digital revolution, because companies that, maybe with old school and traditional managers that were rejecting the remote working to begin with, or were procrastinating, they were forced to do it now. So I'm sure they will realize that it's super beneficial. The cost cutting is amazing. You don't have to pay for all the office spaces anymore, and all the additional services that entails. And yes, and at the end of the day, another amazing benefit is that people will realize that there are no boundaries when it comes to talent. If you cannot find a certain specialist, a skilled professional within your region, within your local community, it's fine. You can find him from anywhere, in the world, and probably much cheaper, because people know how to communicate virtually, and they realize that people don't have to be stuck in the office together to be productive and efficient. So.
Yeah, interesting that you bring that up. I had a talk with a CTO yesterday that swore up and down 2 months ago he would never hire remote or do remote. And now that he's been living that for 5 weeks, he's like, I kind of like this. And he actually said they were more productive now that they were remote. Which,
yeah, because I mean, yeah, of course. I mean, we've been doing it for a while. We have people based in different countries and freelancers as well. And I think, yes, it will be difficult for some people losing jobs, businesses, going down and all of that. But these challenges can be turned into opportunities for some people as well, because they could start they could freelance and get more interesting projects on board. So
yeah. So what's the story behind inKin, and what's the journey been like?
Well, it hasn't been exactly a walk in the park, let's face it, but I guess that's what any startup founder will tell you. So, but it was an incredible journey. And actually now we see a spike of interest among new clients and previous clients of ours coming back, because people need a platform such as inKin, a digital health and wellness platform, especially when people are disconnected, to make sure that they are connected and to make sure that they are actually taking care of their health. Because our motto is that your health is your most crucial asset. So you need to take care of it. And I think this whole COVID situation opened eyes for many people, because if you don't have health, you don't have anything else. Anything else really isn't important anymore. So, hopefully our team, our platform, we can be helpful for many businesses and many teams around.
Yeah. So you mentioned COVID, and it's interesting. Basically, the whole world's been forced to go remote where possible in a very short amount of time. I know you've been doing remote for a while, but did that bring any roadblocks or challenges that you didn't expect?
Well, of course, like for some employees that were used to, be working from the office, it's hard because now they're stuck with their families. And as I said, they need to juggle and switch between their work tasks and their home-related tasks. But overall, I think we're doing pretty great. But then we inKin team got pretty lucky out of it, because we already had that experience. And but I'm sure there are many teams that are struggling. But I love what's going on in education, actually, because I think that this industry is going to benefit eventually more than any other industry. It's funny because the other day, my auntie, she's a school teacher. And I was helping her the other day to set up her Zoom account for her first virtual class. And I actually got so excited on her behalf, because I realized that she can do so many interesting and fun stuff. She can put together a nice presentation to engage kids and everything. Because I think for especially modern kids, staring at a screen that is shared is probably a medium closer to their hearts, rather than just staring at the black, white, green, whatever board there is in the classroom. Yeah. So it's really amazing what's going to happen. And I'm really looking forward to this new developments. And I was thinking actually today, while preparing myself for our conversation, I realized that this new paradigm will probably take us, the human race, to the new level of knowledge and awareness. Because I'm sure that there are many educational institutes, establishments that realize that, okay, we can actually do things online. And of course, you cannot substitute university experience with online experience. But there would be so many people that could benefit from it, because they will get access to all that knowledge that they couldn't have otherwise for numerous reasons, right? And starting from obviously that it's super expensive. So yeah, I'm very excited about this new developments in the world, and I'm an optimist.
Mhm.
And I encourage everyone to focus on good stuff, because otherwise we'll just go insane. So I hope that there will be some exciting outcomes out of this whole
Well, I
COVID.
mean, the Khan Academy had already started down that road, and I think now you're going to see even more and more institutions like the Khan Academy, which can teach people all over the world. So hopefully, I
Yeah.
agree with you. I hope this does. And I've talked to some people that are in the education industry, and it was hard at first, but they're slowly adjusting.
Yeah, I think it's a shocking therapy for many companies, for many industries, because they were taking their nice time, to transform and everything. I'm sure you've seen that another meme,
Mhm.
who led the digital transformation in your company? CEO, CFO, HR, maybe some other position, and then COVID-19. That's true.
It is true.
COVID-19 did the whole, digital transformation, because otherwise there would be companies and industries taking their time forever. And it's
Mhm.
21st century. I mean, it's about time when we really realize that we don't have to be present in the same place. Even with clients, I mean, you don't really have to sit in your car and drive to see a client to demo the product or discuss a potential partnership. You can still have the space, time with profound human interaction.
Mhm.
I mean, of course, we cannot touch each other, but let's face it, we don't really touch each other in work life anyway, right? So it's okay.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, that's been drilled into us.
Yeah, and it's funny because you would think that maybe there is lack of human interaction nowadays, but I know from my personal experience that I actually wanted to reach out to many people I haven't seen in a while, or put together a chat for all our relatives celebrating Easter or whatever, over
Mhm.
Zoom. And actually, at the moment, we're conducting a series of interviews to gather the best tips and insights from different industry professionals on implementing corporate wellness programs nowadays in this current circumstances. And I interviewed a lovely lady this Monday from HBR Consulting, and she told me that they have after work family charades, family
Mm.
karaoke, I
Yeah.
don't know, wine tasting within the team. And I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. So imagine if you are based in one office and you have colleagues that are based, I don't know, in London, Sydney, whatever other offices around the world, and you have never talked to them. You don't know how, okay, you know how they look like because you know their picture on LinkedIn or whatever,
Mhm.
internet. But then you can get this human connection, and next time you're discussing some work-related project, it will go smoother. So
Yes, in fact, I'm invited to a virtual karaoke tonight, and
oh, that's amazing.
the best thing about that is because I really can't sing at all. I'm just going to mute the other people so I don't hear them laughing at me.
No, I think it's a great idea. Honestly, like, I was asking my friends the other day, what would be the first place they will visit, or first activity they will get to once this whole thing over and we're finally out. And people were saying like the beach, or, visiting this place or that place. For me, I'm dying for some karaoke.
Really?
Really. So yeah, maybe I should force a couple of friends to do that before we are out. Let
Well,
it be virtual experience.
well, when you come to San Francisco, I have a friend that does regular karaoke. He's the one that invited me, so I'll introduce you to him. How's that?
That sounds amazing. More reasons for me to visit soon,
There we
hopefully.
go. So there are companies like Gaper that help develop, build, and scale products, especially for startups like yours. I think you already are bought into this idea, but how important do you think that is going to be going forward, for companies that need to hire quality talent in a hurry?
I think it's your star time, the 5 minutes of fame, whatever it is, 15 minutes of fame. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, because I think it's a very red hot topic for you guys right now, because I come from a tech world, from a startup world. So for me, it's completely normal. I know that hiring talent from the other side of the world is fine. We don't have to be located in the same place. But now more and more companies, doesn't matter if they are from tech or startups, more traditional, large enterprises, going through this digital transformation, they will realize, yeah, if I don't have someone, so it's cutting costs, because you don't really have to headhunt anyone anymore. Right. If you can't find talent, amazing talent is waiting for you, just maybe not in this particular territory.
Right.
And I absolutely I would encourage anyone really to approach companies such as Graper and find talent that they have been seeking for maybe months, maybe years. It's there, definitely.
And we find it all the time, especially here in the Bay Area in New York, where these kids that have come out of Stanford and Berkeley and Harvard and schools like that, and they got out into the workplace and they got 2 or 3 years experience. I mean, they're a hot commodity. They're getting unbelievable offers. My daughter, before she graduated from Carnegie Mellon, had multiple offers, and that's just the way it is. And there's really talented people all over the world that you can hire. It doesn't have to be just overseas. Even in the U.S., really smart people. So
yes, of course, and at a better fees, let's say. Yeah. So, which is important, especially if you're a startup. But even with the businesses, it's all about efficiency. So why would you overpay someone just because that person is in the same territory, in the same region as you are, or because you cannot find anyone else except for this person that you have to headhunt?
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. Well, Zara, this has been really fascinating. You've got some very unique ideas on this and experiences, and I want to thank you for your time today.
The pleasure is all mine, Mark. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, and I look forward to karaoke with you when this is all over.
I'm all in.
All right,
Stay
great.
safe, and hopefully to seeing you sooner.
Yes, hopefully within about a month. All right.
Hopefully,
have a great night.
Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye.